My gal, you're amazing. They
Yes.
just didn't need you this time.
Hello and welcome to episode 43 of Untamed Shrews, Women Talk Theater, presented by the Flagstaff Shakespeare Festival. I'm Becki.
And I'm Hannah.
And I'm Dawn. Today will be a Shrews only episode tackling the topic of rejection. Rejection
Oh.
is common in the arts. So, how do we handle it and not get discouraged?
But first, Shrews, check-in time. Gals, how are you? We had such a fast episode last month or last time, so we really didn't get to check in.
Yeah, that was wild. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in some kind of like unending whirlwind. I read this meme once that was like, adulthood is just telling yourself over and over, next week, everything will
Yes.
calm down. And I feel like
Yeah.
that has been me for the last 7 months because I just keep thinking like, oh, this big thing will be over and then everything will calm down, and this big thing will be over and then everything
Yeah.
will calm down. And that is not the way it's going. There's like a lot of really good stuff, you know. Sean just accepted a new job. We are going to have
Right.
a huge
Congrats.
transition. Thanks. He's really excited. I think it's a much better job for him. He's really well suited to it, and I think he's going to do a great job, but it's like 30% travel. So now we're like,
Mhm.
well, two
Yeah.
young kids, 30% of the time traveling to California. Like, how are we gonna
Mhm.
do this? So we got a lot to figure out. And then yeah, just a lot of things. It was grand opening, and then what the Constitution means to me ran, and now I've got my play is gonna be a staged reading in June. And so like we did a rehearsal last night. You were both there. I was really hoping that the notes would be like way more like small and particular edits. And instead it was like, here are 85 sweeping changes you should
Oh,
consider.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh
I'm
boy,
sorry.
I was really hoping it was like, what about this adjective is different? And instead it
I
was
gave you
like,
that. I did give you
thank
this
you.
word, one particular word choice.
I'm so grateful, Becky.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you feel discouraged? Like,
Well,
did
that's
we go
it.
too hard?
No, I don't know. It's interesting because we're going to talk about rejection today, so maybe I'll talk about
Mm.
that too, just like in general, like discouragement. But no, I don't think I feel discouraged. I think that what's been interesting about this process is that like everything I've everything I've shied away from because I was too scared to tackle in the script has then been someone's note of, you need to tackle this. And
Mm.
then when I've added it, then I've gotten the opposite note, which is like that was the perfect addition, or this
Mhm.
part
Hmm.
is working so well. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to kind of lean into it, and I had kind of an epiphany on the way home. So I'm hoping I did some reworking today while the kids were napping. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I was kind of hoping for just like, oh yeah, little tweaks. And then it
Yeah.
was like, why don't we rewrite this again? So
Do what
um
scares us, I guess.
I guess so. Exactly. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
kind of that's kind of where I'm at. Just really just chugging along, working hard.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I'll go next. So I didn't get to fill everyone in last time because we just didn't have time. But the big thing for us is that I left my marketing position at Flag
Oh
Shakes.
yeah. Yeah.
So do not be alarmed, everyone. I am still around. Shrews are still continuing. It was
hmm
just time for a change. Jacob and I were just feeling I don't just feeling ready for a new pace of life. And I just found that I was behind my computer so much. And I'm really committing, guys, to auditioning more, trying to write more, doing more aerial, trying to choreograph more. I'm really excited over the summer. I'm teaching a new class. Um, that is a narrative aerial class. So together as a little team, me and my dancers are going to write a Wild West show.
Cool.
And it's going to be really
Yeah.
cute. I mean, it's going to be small to start, it's only an hour. So it'll probably be, 8 dance numbers, whatever that ends up being. Becky's in it. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Yay!
Yeah.
And so I think it's just gonna, yeah. So I'm really trying to just get out there. I'm really trying to just move my body more, not be at my house so much, not be behind a screen so much, which I mean, unfortunately, when you're auditioning and stuff, largely you're
Yeah.
behind a screen, you're sending
Yeah.
emails, you're working on resumes, you're, writing grants, whatever it might be. So
Right.
unfortunately, not everything is like non-admin, but yeah, I was just ready to focus on my own arts career. So hopefully I'll be on stage with Flag Shakes more because I haven't in a long time because I'm just
Yeah.
so busy. So yeah, that's like the big one, everyone, is that I left my marketing position, but I am still going to produce Shrews, and of course I'm still core company, so hopefully I'll still be on stage as much as possible. So that's a big one. And just with that comes a lot of transitions for Jacob and I. So he and I are just in a very like figuring it out time right now, which is very scary, but also fun and exciting in some ways, but also just very emotionally exhausting in a lot of ways because usually over the dinner table, we're not necessarily discussing just like light-hearted stuff. We're like, all right, so what is it that we want out of our lives? Like
Yeah.
it's really big stuff. And it's so that's the only thing is, and there's been just some health stuff with members of my family. So it's been a very
Mhm.
emotional few weeks, but not a bad few weeks, just kind of crazy. Um, so yeah, figuring out what the next step of our life looks like, which is no easy task.
Just casual
Yeah.
Tuesday
Yeah.
afternoon talk type stuff.
But besides that, super cash.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are
Yeah. Yeah.
good.
Well, you and Jacob are this month are coming up to your 1 year
Oh
Yes.
anniversary.
Yeah,
yeah, it's
May
so close.
31st. Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
probably only a few days before this drops. Yeah. Or sorry,
Yeah.
a few days after this drops.
Yeah.
Is our anniversary. And I think we're gonna go to Palm Springs
Oh, fun.
Oh,
and Joshua Tree. We're trying to get our trailer up and running. So
great.
fingers crossed we can do that. Still needs some wiring and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll get that ready. And yeah, almost a year of marriage, which just feels crazy. I love him so much. Wow. It's also just amazing, like with these crazy things that are happening in life, just like having him as a solid rock is great. So yeah,
Yeah.
things are good. How
Great.
about you,
Great.
Bex?
Yeah.
Well, I did the show down in Phoenix, Secret
Yeah. I
Garden.
saw
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it
Hannah
was
saw
so
it. We saw it
good.
the same night. So good.
Yeah. Thank you both for coming.
Of
Yes,
course.
Yeah, so did that. I'm super glad I did that, trying to, get my foot in the door with Phoenix, the Phoenix theater
Yeah.
community. The
totally.
Viola Awards
Oh,
were
right.
the weekend before
Oh,
we're
yeah.
recording this. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
boy.
yeah, so my own show was up for a nomination, or up for I was a finalist, and then
Mhm.
also Cabaret, which I did, and then Art in the Open with the Flagstaff Foundry,
Yeah.
and the latter two won in their categories, so that was exciting. I didn't win with my show, which was a little bit of a bummer, but
Yeah.
here's some rejection theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, kind of just getting ready for summer in Flagstaff. I mean, this summer is going to look a little bit different for me in that I'm currently working a full-time job, like
Hmm.
Yeah.
strict hours or whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a little bit different than the summers that I'm used to in Flagstaff. So
Can't just go to the creek on a whim.
no, sadly, but yeah. So or who knows what will happen? The
Yeah.
everything is transitory. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, just kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. How were the
Yeah.
violas? That's the first time I've missed the violas. And also, guys, we do Shakespeare pronunciation. I always say
Oh,
violas. It's violas, but I always say violas. Okay,
I
I say
know.
how
that
were
too.
the violas?
Viola Babbitt. The
Viola.
violas.
How were the
Violas.
Viola Awards? I did not get to join you, but how was it?
Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun celebration of
Yep.
art and community and collaboration and science and education here in Flagstaff.
Also prom, putting on a nice
Prom.
dress.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I anything that I can wear sparkles to, I
Mhm.
am a fan of.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
finally got to wear my
Oh
10-year
yes.
anniversary of Flag Shakes dress that I didn't get to wear
Yay.
because I was at home
Sick,
coughing up a
yeah.
lung.
Ooh.
So I finally got to wear that dress, which was nice.
Nice.
It's a
That's
beautiful
awesome.
dress. I thought it was a really
Yeah.
fun evening. We had a great
Yeah.
Good.
time. Yeah.
Good. Did Sean and the babies come or was it just you?
Sean came, yeah.
Okay,
Baby
nice.
stayed
Awesome.
home.
Baby stayed home. And Simply Silly by from Flag Shakes
hmm
was nominated. Let's see what else was in our circle.
Yeah.
Oh, Momentum, a
Yeah,
hmm
Momentorial
Momentum
won
won.
They
Education,
won.
which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're big parts of Momentum. So yeah,
Yeah.
big stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
guys, I was telling you before we logged on, but today was literally came straight from the showcases for Momentum. And it was such a long day because this morning was the youth showcase where
Ah.
I had two classes performing, which was awesome. I had two sets of kiddos performing. And then in the adult showcase, I had another two classes performing, and I performed in three, which I have never performed in three.
Oh, really?
I've done
Okay.
two in one showcase, but I've done two in one showcase, but never three. And there was
Mhm.
only nine numbers. So
Whoa, so you
yeah,
like
I was
every
like
number.
Yeah.
on, off, on. Yeah, it was
Every
crazy.
other
But
Yeah,
number.
yeah. Isn't it?
I,
It's
it was
moments like
exhausting.
that where you're like, I feel like I could do a whole like three more. And then you're
Yes.
like, no, I couldn't.
No.
I need to rest.
And it was also funny because they like in order of difficulty. So I actually so I teach basic flow, but I had a dancer drop, so I filled in for her. So I had basic flow and then I'm also taking intermediate flow and then I'm also in advanced flow, but that was the order that they were in, basic, intermediate, advanced. So I just like warmed up to my really hard dance, which was great. So it actually worked out pretty good. Like I was
Good.
exhausted, but I wasn't like so exhausted that I couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
So yeah, congrats, Momentum. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Woohoo.
awesome. I was
Nice.
not in this showcase. I had one group of little tiny trapezers performing, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to take a class in so long.
Yeah.
I'm going to take
Yeah.
the trapeze flow class this summer.
The
Mm-hmm.
3A flow
Uh,
or advanced flow.
I think it's just called, oh no, sorry, choreography. I'm going to take the trapeze
Oh,
choreography class.
yay. I'm in that
Yeah.
one too.
Okay,
Yay.
cool. Well, I want to do a really epic Celine Dion song, so if you want to do part of it with me,
Heck yeah.
I'm
Fun.
hoping not to dance it alone. It's the why can't I think of what it was called? It's like there were days when the
Like, yeah,
nights were
like so
so cold.
cool. I knew
What
that
is
was the
that
song you
song
were gonna say.
called?
Absolutely. Literally
Ah,
no idea.
no idea. But it's like 7 minutes long, Becky. So
Yeah,
let's do it
yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah.
Be
Baby,
ready.
baby, baby, when you touch me like this. Don't get me started, I'll go. When
It's
you
so
kiss
good.
me like that. Okay.
Someone
Okay,
has to stop me.
we have to do this together because we're
Yes,
very passionate about this song.
yes,
And
yes.
I've been
That's
hoping
silly.
someone would do it with me, unless you have another idea, which is totally fine. But I was like, I
No.
need to do Celine Dion.
No, well, I'm just because I've only ever choreographed my one piece on my own. So
Mhm.
there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, I don't do this. And then there's another part of me that's like,
Yeah.
no, just because I haven't done this doesn't mean I don't do this. This
You
Yeah,
will
have to
only
yeah,
help me
start
be a better,
somewhere.
yeah.
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 Yeah. So I've been anytime like I'm listening to music, I'm like, is this the song I do? No. Is
Hmm.
this the song I do? So we'll see.
Well, if it's Celine Dion, let me know. Listen to it and see if it
Yeah.
inspires you. Because I was
That's
like, this is
amazing.
not a one person dance. This can't
Oh.
be a one person dance. It's too long.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's jump into our topic. It seems like we are all kind of circling around it anyway because we have some,
Yeah.
some personal stories about it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the first one off with bats is auditions, man. That's where
Yeah.
it all starts.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
I
actors is auditioning and getting rejected at auditions, which I've been through so many times, but not recently.
hmm
So now my perspective is all from the other side of the table, which I don't even do much casting for flag shakes, but just knowing what goes
hmm
into, because we had a big conversation about casting on Thursday. We're still working out pieces of summer casting. We're not ready to make all of the offers. We're ready to make a couple offers, but not every
Okay.
offer. And it just always surprises me each time when we're going through it of like, oh, there are so many factors here that have absolutely nothing to do with talent.
Mm.
And as an actor, I think it's really easy to forget that and to be
Hmm.
like, oh, I didn't get the role because I'm not talented. And it's like I've literally sometimes, not cast someone who I was like A plus plus actor, just amazing. But there was like this one little piece that just fit better if it was a different actor or worked better if we went this other direction. So that's kind of my experience lately. But you guys have both actually been auditioning, so curious to hear your thoughts on this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the tough part or a tough part of the business because I feel like there just so many times I'm like, if they would only just give me a
Hmm.
chance. I
Hmm.
know that like, yes, like I could prove my worth if they would
Yeah.
just, or yeah. And something that I've heard in relation to this is, people tell artists all the time, like, you've got to have a thick skin, like rejection's part of the business. Like you can't be upset. This is what you signed up for. But people expect and want artists to be vulnerable and to showcase
Mhm.
like those human emotions on stage, and that's not something that everybody can do. So it's like how we can't if I'm gonna
Hmm.
open up and be vulnerable, like it's okay if I am also showing emotion when I'm not on stage type thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's a really good point.
I think right now the hardest thing for me with rejection when it comes to auditions specifically is just the amount of time it takes. Like
Mm,
I don't take the rejection too hard. Like because I totally get you, Dawn. As an
mm,
arts administrator, I totally get that there's so many factors and I am one of so many pieces. But
mm.
what's just really tough is that, like, I drove 4 hours to get
Yeah.
here. I
Yeah.
spent $60 on gas. I maybe even spent the night. I paid for parking. I bought a new dress. I bought sheet music. I paid an accompanist to rehearse.
Hmm.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, it's a lot of work and a lot of money. And that's really where it's hard for me is that, like, I spent hours on that this week for 2 minutes. Or,
Mhm.
things like that,
Yeah.
especially like all the auditions I've been doing down in Phoenix. Like, I drove all this way. And now I'm turning and burning back up, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay. So
Yeah.
that's for me the hardest is it's not necessarily the fact that I got a no or that they were like, no, thank you. Because again, I understand that and I know that I'm one of many, but it's more just like, dang. I spent
Yeah.
so much time and money on that. Sometimes it feels like it
Yeah.
wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So that's the big one for
Yeah.
me is it's like, I spent 30 minutes just filling out that form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that
Or
wasn't even the audition.
yeah, I went and I go printed my resume and my headshot and resume, and then I get there and they're like, "Oh, if you have it, okay, but you didn't need it." And I'm like,
Right.
Mm.
"Ah, yeah,
Yeah, I spent money and time going to the library or to FedEx or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's the hard one for me.
yeah,
It's like and something I've talked with Cadence about a lot, friend of the podcast, Cadence Lamb, is that I think one thing that I've
Sorry.
gotten better at to handle rejection is to really think about whether I could see myself in those shows. So like if I look at a season that a company's doing, if I don't fit, I probably shouldn't spend the time because the chances are basically 100% that I'm gonna get rejected. I might as well spend my time on a different audition. And so
Mhm.
I used to be more like as many as possible.
Oh,
And
Mhm.
same.
and
Yeah.
now I'm more like quantity or not quantity over quality, quality over quantity. So looking more closely at, okay, are they hiring non-equity actually? Like, are they
Mhm.
consistently
Mm,
hiring non-equity or
Yeah.
EMC or whatever? Do they provide housing or not?
Mhm.
Do they consistently bring people in that aren't local? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, do they like what shows are they doing and do they fit me at all? Like if they require super
yeah.
specific things I am not, then I probably shouldn't spend my time. So And I've talked a lot about that with Cadence too, where she's like, I just know more about myself, who I am as a performer, and what I'm actually going in for. And that just reduces my level of like stress of how many auditions I'm going to. And unfortunately, the sad truth, how many rejections I get.
Yeah.
Because if I kind of self-filter myself,
Hmm.
then it makes it easier on everybody.
There's a lot of onus on the company there too. And, that's what I've been thinking about the whole time you've been talking, right? Is like also as companies, how honest are we being? And
Hmm.
that's one thing that, we try to do is be really transparent about what the stipend is going to look like, be
Right.
really transparent about what the
Hmm.
schedule is going to be look, just be really transparent so that actors aren't wasting their time if it's not a good fit.
Hmm.
Um,
So I would love to
yeah.
talk about a real life example regarding that. So a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, a company that the last time I emailed them was like pre-pandemic, like 2020 or whatnot, and
Mhm.
they reached out and they were like, "Hey, like we're gauging interest. If you might be interested, like show one is like opens on this date, show two this date." I was like, "And here are some of the things that we provide as a company." And I was like, oh my gosh, cool. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm interested. So I did a callback for them. And then a couple weeks later, they reached back out and they were like, hey, just seeing if you would have your car here or not. And I was like, oh, well, it kind of depends like what that travel stipend is. And they're also like, and where are you coming from? And I said, I'm coming from Northern Arizona. And they immediately were like, oh, we can't afford to fly you. We can't afford to have you drive out.
Mm.
And we can't afford to give you a rental car while you're here. So thanks so much. Have a great summer. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Whoa.
whoa. I was like, if those were all factors, that would have been great to know because I did a
Hmm.
callback for you. And if
Yeah.
if it's something that you couldn't do, or if it's something that you're not able or willing to chat about, because like who knows, maybe I would have gotten myself out there on my
Hmm.
own. But
Yes, I've
yeah,
I've had that happen before. I think
yeah.
that's the weirdest thing where I had a company call, like, I did a callback, it was right out of grad school. I did a callback for a company in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I went from Virginia to
Hmm.
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to do a callback for a company.
Hmm.
And the callback went great. I could tell it was going
Yeah.
great. And they were
Yeah.
giving such amazing feedback. And they literally wrote me a letter that was like, hey, we can tell from your caliber of acting that like you're gonna say no to this, so we offered it to someone else. And I was like,
What?
oh.
Let me say
I was
no.
like, cool, because I was fresh out of grad school and like I would have said yes
Yes.
probably to
Oh,
this opportunity
yeah.
because it was, to play Cymbeline and Cymbeline, which is such a
Hmm.
rare
Oh,
opportunity too.
Yeah.
And I was
yeah.
like, why? They were like, we can't pay you what you're worth. We
You don't
can't.
know that. Or,
And I was
well,
like,
sorry, that's not what I thought you were going to say. You are worth
no,
millions, Dawn.
I know. But they
Yeah.
don't know that, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't,
Hmm.
Yeah.
until you
Yeah.
make an offer, you don't know if,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I always feel like, have you ever had that happen, Hannah? Because now, like Becky's had it happen. I've had it
Yeah.
happen.
But thankfully, it worked out. So, like a
Okay.
company that I
Good.
met at Staw, I got really close with the guy who runs it. And I was like, I'd love to come out and work for you. And he was like, yeah, amazing. But like, I can't afford you. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you let me? I mean, of course, I didn't say it in a mean way,
Yeah.
but I was like,
Yeah.
why don't you just throw a number at me? And if I can't do it,
Hmm.
then I will say no. And guys, this was one of the largest stipends I've ever received.
Wow.
And I was
Great.
like, yeah, no problem. I will take that several $1,000s plus housing and travel. Thank you. I'm good.
That actually, I do want to take
Yeah,
travel.
I was like,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a problem, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm glad it worked out that way.
Thankfully, it works
Yeah.
out the other direction, but he was like, "Oh, I'm not sure if we can, if we can afford you, if we're like, I can
Yeah.
entice you to come." And I was like, you
Let me
Okay.
make that
certainly
decision
can."
myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's great that it
exactly.
worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the other direction, thankfully they were willing to have the conversation versus just being like, no.
Yeah, yeah. And like for mine,
Yeah.
I reached back out. I was like, I can be negotiable. Like, I don't even
Hmm.
know what the travel stipend is. Can we chat? And then they
Yeah.
ghosted me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of like leads me to like another form of rejection. It's just like the never hearing, right? So like
Yeah.
obviously sometimes companies have the capacity to tell me no. And
Hmm.
you know what? When I get those emails, I'm not all that devastated. I'm actually pretty excited to get that email
Yeah.
because I'm like, thank you for telling me. I
Yeah.
take that one off the list. It is off of my brain. Like there was one that I just got like 2 days ago that I didn't really think I had a great chance at, but they told me no thanks. And I was like, great, okay, sounds
Mm.
good. They've moved
Yeah.
on. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it doesn't, but I mean, like there was a big one I received that I really wanted like a month or two
Mm.
ago that I got a no for, and I was disappointed because it was a company I really wanted to work for and I have worked for before, so I was like, I really want to do it. But they told me no, but I wasn't necessarily surprised because they very often told me no. And so, but
Yeah.
then it was like
Yeah.
I moved on because at
Yeah.
least they told me and I wasn't just like,
Yeah.
oh, I wonder, like pining
Yeah.
after, like hoping that they would hire me, being like, oh, it's May. I wonder if I'll hear from them. I won't. I won't hear from
Yeah.
them. So that's another tough one.
Yeah.
It's just like the not hearing, or
Yeah.
like the fact that you audition for something so far away. That's another really tough one where
Oh
like you
yeah.
audition for a full season and you hear from them in a year.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
You're
they're
like,
like,
yeah.
yeah, they're like, we'd like you to call back for this show that you auditioned for 9 months ago. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, sure. Yeah, I'm not the same person I was. Gosh, everything's changed. Like, sure, I'll guess I'll call back for you. Like, I'm a new human now. So it's like
Yeah.
sometimes that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even remember
Yeah.
auditioning for you.
Yeah. But it's all, but like stuff like that's also very exciting because it's
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, it's kind of like the things that all of like
Hmm.
people say in the industry is like, yeah, maybe you didn't get that call back like
Hmm.
the next week or month later, but then like 9 months later, 2 years later, they're like, oh yeah, this person came in and we like them and it wasn't a good fit then, but now it's
Right.
a good fit. So let's see what's
Hmm.
going on. I don't know.
Isn't so how do we so the ones that we really want, right? Like the ones that do hit us home, how do we move past those? Because like for example, like I said, that one that I got a no from that I did really want. I was really hoping for that one. That was definitely like a rough day where I was like, Jacob,
Mm.
I didn't get it. That one we were kind of banking on because I have family in that area and
Mm.
family that's not doing super well health wise. And I was like, this is going to
Oh,
be great. I'm going to live there for the summer. It's going to be
yeah.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to have a reason to be. So that one I was really disappointed about. So like,
Yeah.
how do we, when we've, unfortunately, I do this to myself. I have a silly, I think there's a reel on our shrews where it's like, sent in this random
Oh.
audition and I've already fantasized my entire summer
Yes.
life in
Yeah.
this random small town that I've
Yep.
decided that I was going to live in. And then, of
Yep.
Yeah.
course, you get a no and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not living in that random small town in the
Yeah.
Great Lakes or like wherever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So like how do we move past it and like stay positive?
I mean, the only, I feel like it's one of those kind of trite things that people say, but like the only thing that I can say, and this is not because it's a saying, but because it's been true in my experience, is that you get the opportunities you're supposed to get.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And so it's so weird because I think about the most devastating rejection that I got personally as an actor was also what led me to Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
which was, Southwest Shakespeare initially, which led me to I've got to get home to Flagstaff and I've got to found my own company.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a long road, but I can tell you that a very specific audition for a very specific role was the getting rejected for it was the
Mm-hmm.
catalyst.
Hmm.
And if I had gotten that acceptance
Mm-hmm.
for that role, then I would be in a completely different place in my life doing a completely different thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just always have to tell myself, like, whatever it is that's keeping you here, for whatever reason that you didn't get the thing, it's because there's something like bigger, better, more important
Mm-hmm.
waiting, I guess. And also that it's never, I don't know, that a rejection is never complete, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Hmm.
at the time, Jim Warren, who's come to work for us, was the head of that company that I got that sort of like epic rejection from that spurred me to move back to the South. And now like Jim Warren has auditioned for us, or not auditioned for us, sorry, directed for us.
I was
And
like, oh, I didn't know
no, no, Jim Warren's
Yeah.
directed for us. He's a director. Yesterday, he and I had a long Zoom call about about a different project that I'm working on in my life, and I've come to have this like incredible friendship with him. And we've had actors from that organization audition for our shows and come do our shows, and it's sort of been this amazing full circle moment where I've gone, oh, you thought you were getting rejected from your big dream, from the thing you wanted to do. Whereas in fact, you were able to go out and build something else that has then been a platform for actors who are able to act in this company that you built here in Fly. And and then like directors are coming and actors from there are coming. And it's kind of
Yeah.
this, yeah, it wasn't the complete rejection that I thought it was. It was just it's funny because I found out almost a decade later that it was a housing issue. That the actress who
Oh.
got that role that I thought was like going to be the rest of my future. There's a toddler trying to break in here.
Ah,
What's up,
toddler.
buddy? That is a rocket ship. Okay, I love you so much, Blake. I'll see you soon.
He just said hello and
Yo.
left again.
He said, "That's a rocket ship," and showed me a Lego he had made and then left again.
Oh.
Um,
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, so I found out almost a decade later that it was
hmm
that person had housing and I didn't.
Yeah.
And they were maxed out on actor housing.
hmm
And I was like,
Which
oh,
which are things we understand because we've
yeah,
been maxed
now
out
we
on actor
understand
housing.
because
Yeah.
Yeah.
we make those
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, oh, so you weren't rejected on talent. You weren't rejected on personality, you
hmm
know, because I had worked for the company as an intern and I had gotten so much amazing feedback from the audiences, from the actors I worked with,
Hmm.
and I just thought, oh, this is my home. This is where I belong.
hmm
And that rejection in favor of this actress who I was like, oh, this is not the right choice, guys. But it was just because they had housing.
Yeah. Well, so this kind of, because I've been thinking about this a little bit. Like,
Mhm.
what I guess are your perspectives on a company being transparent with that? So instead of just immediately not making
Mm,
that offer, but saying, "Hey,
mm.
we want to offer you this role, but we
Yeah,
cannot offer you housing.
yeah,
Like, let us know in the next few days if you have your own housing. If not, so sorry, we need to move on." Like,
yeah.
hmm
is that
It
appropriate? I don't know.
I
I
think
would
it
much rather be asked.
yes.
Yeah, same,
I would too.
same.
Because I actually had that thought at the time that I discovered it. I was like, oh, I would have the town was cheap to rent a place
Yeah.
in. I was like, I would have
Yeah.
kept renting this place I had been
Yeah.
renting, you
Yeah.
know. But then on the flip side of that, it was an opportunity I was not supposed to get. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, they
Right.
didn't offer it to me because my life had a completely different trajectory.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like philosophically, I'm with you, Becki.
hmm
What should, and you, Hannah, too, like I think we've all kind of agreed on this. Make the full offer. We want you. Here's the offer.
Right.
You want
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Well,
If not,
because
we'll move on.
Yeah.
Relationships are a two-way
Mhm.
street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've had the opposite happen. I have been offered something at a company where I was going to
Mm.
be a very small role, a like dancing ensemble intern, but I was going to get EMC points.
Mm,
And it was near San Francisco, near my family, in a
hmm
cool place. And I was like, that's worth it to me. So they offered it to me. And then they ran out of housing. And so they just ghosted me. And
Oh
I emailed
no.
her like 6 times and I
Oh
was like,
no.
am I working for you this summer? Like, I would have tried. Like, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
worth it to me enough that you were willing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks because I wasn't going to be paid. Like, this is also
hmm
10, over 10 years ago or whatever. But like, I was going to get EMC points and
Yeah.
work for a company that I wanted to work for. So, like, that was enough for me.
hmm
I probably could have found a friend. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
if you had
Yeah.
just responded to the email
Yeah.
when I
We
was
can
like,
work
hey,
together.
why are you not responding? I thought I was hired. And then instead just ghosting me completely and being like, hopefully that girl just like forgets about us.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
no.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wish she had just been like, I'm really sorry, we're out of housing. Would
Yeah.
you still be interested, or can we, or can like, and I mean, I probably would have had to have said no, and I don't remember the exact details. Maybe I offered to try to look, and she never responded. Like, I don't remember what it
Mm.
was, but like ultimately, I feel like I never got to make the choice where I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like even
Yeah.
if it had not worked out, I would have tried my best.
Well, that's what
Like,
it boils down to, right? Is
Yeah.
whether or not you feel you got to make the choice
yeah.
rather than having someone else make the choice for you.
Yeah.
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 And in that case, I didn't make any choice because they just went silent.
Yeah, exactly. You
And it
didn't
was
get to make
like,
the choice.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, I'm not sure if this is like I just don't know what's happening
Yeah.
anymore because now there's just silence. But yeah, that's a rough one.
Sorry, I'm just thinking more about like, I feel like it kind of sugarcoated my answer. And
hmm
now I want to be honest. Like, so that audition that I was talking about, that was
hmm
heartbreaking for me. It's
hmm
easy to say, however many
10
decades
years
later,
later, yeah.
that that it was the right thing to get rejected. But we really should talk about what you do in the moment. Because just the
hmm
fact that it turned out great later doesn't mean that you're, like Becki was talking about, that you're not vulnerable and hurt and feeling your feelings. And there's
hmm
no way that realizing, 10 years later that it was good can can help you in the moment. So I'm just curious, like, what do you both do for yourself in the moment that you receive the rejection?
hmm
Like, what
Yeah.
do you do in that very, I remember for me, I called someone that I considered an
hmm
incredible theater mentor
hmm
and just like one of the most successful actresses I knew. At the time, she was in her 40s, which I'm now in my 40s. And I just saw her, wow, like I feel so grown up now that I said that.
hmm
Because I just saw her as this like grown up actress, right? Who had
hmm
really, and I called her and I just remember having this really long conversation. I probably had a couple glasses of wine that night too. Like, I'm not saying I handled it well. I am certain I texted with Christine. Christine was
hmm
back in Germany already. But I remember very specifically reaching out to these female contemporary, Christine, who I felt like very connected to, and we were,
hmm
we could commiserate, but also like a female mentor who
hmm
I felt like could tell me, you know, well, this is how acting careers go, or this is what's
hmm
going to happen in the acting field. So like, I guess that's my specific of, in the moment, what do you do? And for me, it was, call someone who can call more than one someone, call someone who can commiserate, and then call someone who can tell you,
hmm
oh, sweetie, 10 years from now, you're not going to care or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So like, what do you guys do in the moment of rejection?
hmm
Yeah. I'm pretty similar in like isn't it like sadness shared is sadness halved or something? So
hmm
like yeah,
Oh,
talking about it with somebody.
yeah.
I also, this is maybe more of like the analytical side of my brain, but I also have an audition spreadsheet. So like when I get that rejection email, I'm like,
Mm.
great, now I can update this audition spreadsheet
I
and we're putting a
love
button on
this.
this.
hmm
I love
Yeah.
this, Becky. Oh my gosh. My brain
Yeah.
loves a checklist.
hmm
The idea of
Yeah.
having a checklist where you just get to go in and like, no,
Yeah.
yes, no, like
No.
complete it.
Done.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Full
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah. And sometimes it also is like, okay, well, they didn't want me, so let me see if there's another audition I can audition
Yeah.
for. So
Yes.
sometimes it's like that. And yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, it's reaching out to your friends and family who get
Hmm.
it and just
hmm
yeah, and it doesn't yeah, just being like, I'm bummed, I didn't get this. And
Hmm.
hmm
it's nice to have your feelings validated like that.
Hmm.
I think mine's very similar. I think Becky and I are very similar in the way we like do our audition process. So very similarly, I
Hmm.
also have a spreadsheet. So I write
God
that
bless you
down
both.
because then when I go back next year, I remember what they said to me, the fact that they
That's
got back to me.
brilliant.
I mean,
Mhm.
again, even the fact that they got back to me is a bonus. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kind of company that messages me back.
Yes.
who I would like to
Yeah.
audition for them again. So
You
I
are
Yeah.
do
both
that.
giving amazing advice, both for auditioners and auditionees. So thank
So,
you.
so I do
Yay.
that. So I do the same. Again,
Yeah.
same with everybody. I text you two and typically Cadence. So
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
my closest theater girlfriends who I know understand. I also try to remember, this has been funny because with Jacob and I, we give each other the same advice. And so I have to be like, Hannah, what is the
Yeah.
advice you would give Becki right now?
Yeah.
What is the
Hmm.
advice you would give Cadence right now? And the
Hmm.
Yeah.
advice I would give is, my gal, you're amazing.
Hmm.
They
Yes.
just didn't need you this time. And so I
Oh,
Yes.
have to be like,
Hannah.
okay,
Yes, Hannah.
Yes,
you
No,
that was
know,
great.
no, that's so beautiful. I think this
Yeah.
applies to so many aspects of our life. I think
hmm
that was so beautifully
Yeah.
put, right? Like we are always kinder to our best
hmm
friend than to ourselves.
Hmm.
And if we
Hmm.
can talk to ourselves
hmm
the way we would talk to our best friend,
yes.
we would be
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
kinder to
hmm
ourselves.
Oh, I just
So
got
that's,
chills.
I
Oh.
That
know,
was so, yeah.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Hannah, because that's
Yeah.
something, I know this is not a body image, this is not a body image episode, but it's one thing that having a daughter,
hmm
I've thought about a ton, right? Is like the way that I talk about my body, the way that
hmm
I talk about my relationship to food is
hmm
going to become Willa's internal voice about her
hmm
body and her relationship to food.
Right.
And I would never be as hard on anyone else as I
Of
have
course.
been on myself at points in my lifetime. I think I've
hmm
made a lot of growth in the last 5 years, especially. Therapy is amazing. I've made a ton of progress in the last 5 years as far as like how I also have that relationship to my own body. But it seems similar to me, right? It's like in
hmm
those places that we can be the most difficult on ourselves, the most detrimental to ourselves,
hmm
just thinking for 2 seconds. Would I ever say that to Hannah? Would I
No.
ever
Mm.
say that to Willa? Would
Yeah.
I ever? And then just going, no, I would never, never, absolutely
Like,
never.
I would never be like, Hannah, you sucked at that audition. They hated you. Like, that's not true. Maybe they didn't
Yeah.
love me. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I didn't like rise above the cream of the crop.
Yes.
So, for whatever reason, I didn't make it. But that doesn't mean they hated me or that they
No,
never want to see me again or that they
Yeah.
may
no.
not
No.
hire me. And I mean, so many things like, the things you've said about is it meant for you doesn't come to you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
broken record here. We've talked about this on the pod before.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I try to tell myself that. So I text my girlfriends. I try to tell myself like you'll get them next time,
Mm-hmm.
that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, more practically, I, make a treat. I bake some cookies. I watch a
Yes.
show, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Little
And
treat.
similarly to what Becki said with the whole analytical issue, if like I am the kind of person that's like, okay, actionable items here,
Yeah.
actionable items. So
Yes.
if I get rejected, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna send an email to a new
Uh-huh.
theater. I'm
Hmm.
gonna write down a new theater on my audition list. And so if I get rejected, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to that person I worked with 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
and be like, hey, how you doing? Like, this is my situation. Let me know if you need me. Like, just like kind of like balancing out, I don't know, balancing out the equilibrium. I don't know.
Oh, so I actually have this amazing anecdote about this. I don't think I've ever said on the podcast. I'm starting to feel like I've said everything
Ooh.
on the podcast,
We've
but not
said a
this one.
lot. We've said a lot.
So I had this amazing acting teacher in undergrad, and I went to him and I asked him, this was post undergrad, I was like, hey, can I just do all my grad school audition monologues for you? And I remember I went to see him. I had a terrible cold. I
Mm.
literally realized after the audition that I had like tiny pieces of tissue paper stuck all
Oh,
over my blouse
Oh
because
no.
I had been blowing my nose so
so
much.
much. Yeah.
And he watched my audition pieces, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have this terrible cold. I'm doing these audition pieces. Like, he used to just like every single thing I did in every acting class, every monologue class I took, you just pick it apart, and I got done with my grad school pieces for him, and he was like, no notes. And I was like,
Nice.
what do
What?
you mean, no notes?
You
And
always have notes.
yeah, I was like, you've literally spent the last 4 years of my life like picking me apart.
Yeah.
And, I had tissue paper all over my blouse and like, what do you got, Jim Bouchard? And and he was just like, no, no notes. He's like, oh. And I kind of explained to him, what I was feeling in the moment. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess I'm just so intent in the moment on making you all the best actors you can be that I'm not like almost not seeing the forest for the trees kind of thing.
Hmm.
He's like, you're great, you're gonna kill it.
No,
And I
that's
was like,
completely true.
Yeah.
oh,
I say
oh,
that to my dancers all the time. I'm like, guys, you guys are doing so well. All I have for you is nitpicky. So yes,
Hmm.
yeah,
I can find notes to give you, but that doesn't mean you aren't doing incredibly. And yes, I
yes.
can tell you to get rid of the micro bend in your knee.
Right.
It's not that crazy. Like you guys are doing amazing. So yes,
Right.
exactly. The forest for the trees. Like you are
Yeah.
incredible. Watching you do that
Hmm.
performance, I was super proud of you. I loved the way you did it. But
Yes.
because we're here and we're trying to get better, here's what I have for you.
Here's everything I have for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess that could be the other piece, right? And maybe that's more criticism than
Mhm.
rejection, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to give myself notes on what happened last night.
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, rejection and failure, I mean,
Yeah.
they all
Rejection,
go.
criticism, it's all
Mhm.
together. But
Yeah.
the thing is, right, is like if something is truly awful, you might not offer criticism because you're like,
Mm.
well, what's constructive about what
Right.
I have to
Oh,
say
yeah.
now? Whereas if there's just like it's inspiring and there's room for improvement and you can find those moments, then
Hmm.
offering that really constructive feedback as opposed to
Hmm.
criticism is incredible. And you may never know. Someone may be saying no, 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 or oh, this was wrong, but it really going, wow, what an incredible actor.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting, it all kind of goes together, rejection, criticism, failure, whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it. But like two examples I have are like, I've written my one woman shows. I've done them
Yeah.
in a lot of
Hannah,
different
they
forms.
are so good.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You inspired
But
me to
oh.
finally write a play because I was like, Hannah, if she is so good at saying, I should write this, and then doing it,
Thank you.
and
But
also doing it brilliantly and in a way
thank
that really
you.
engages people.
But here's where my failure aspect is going to come in. So like
Yes.
I just did my show the
Yeah.
other night. I was losing my voice that night.
Mm.
And I was so mad and so upset. And Jacob was like, "Hannah, you sound fine." I'm like,
Yep.
"No, I don't. I'm losing my voice. I can't
Yeah.
like let it fly. It's not the same." And
Yeah.
he's like, "But Hannah, and I say this to everyone else. Again, the same advice I would give someone else. Is it like, but I don't know the difference.
Yes.
I
Hmm.
know that you're a
Hmm.
singer and I know that
Yes.
you have a voice and you sing. And I mean, unless I'm like literally cracking all over the place, like I had to cough a lot and drink a lot of extra water, and I wasn't necessarily hitting all the notes the same way I normally
No.
do. But I don't think I did an awful job. But
I have
Absolutely
heard,
not.
I was there that night. I have
Yeah.
heard nothing but
Thanks.
positives
Yeah. Yeah.
about your
Yeah.
performance.
Thank
And while
you.
I was watching, I felt every time you took a drink of water, I was just like, yeah, girl must be thirsty. This is a
Yeah.
hard
She's
show.
talking. This is a one woman show. She's got to
Yes.
stay hydrated.
Girl gotta
Um,
take a drink.
Yeah.
Something that's kind of in that similar vein is before a performance, before an audition, before like a big thing, I just always tell myself that I just want to feel, and I ask like to feel proud of
Hmm.
Yeah.
the work that I did. And I'm
Hmm.
not asking for it to be perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm just asking to be proud. And for me, that just totally lets go
Hmm.
of everything because I can give an imperfect audition or an
Yeah.
imperfect show and
Mhm.
still feel proud of it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
remembering the joy of live theater and the
Yeah.
joy of like I told my dancers today, again, like showcase today. I was like, guys, like it doesn't have to be perfect, just need to
No.
have fun.
Yeah.
And the joy of live
Yeah.
theater is
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
might, like today, there was a kid that got stuck in her knot in the silk
Oh.
showcase. And it's like, but we as an audience are like rooting for her.
Oh, as soon
Yeah.
as she gets
Yeah.
out, you're
She's
like,
stuck.
yes.
Yeah, we're like, and it's not her fault. It doesn't have anything to do with it. She's not a lesser dancer
Yeah.
than the girls next to her. It's just that her knot got stuck because
Yeah.
Yep.
it's live. And
Yeah.
then when
Yeah.
Yep.
she got out, we were like, yeah. And
Yeah. And
so
that's the
same,
excitement.
that's
Yeah.
the
That's the
excitement. So it's
excitement.
like it's
Yeah.
not gonna be perfect because it's live. And
Yeah.
if we were aiming for perfection, we would have become movie stars. Like
Yes.
we would
Where
have.
you can do it
God,
16 different times.
Right.
I would have been so good at laundry commercials. Man.
What? Wait,
I've been told
what?
so many times that I've got the right vibe for a laundry commercial.
What? Wait,
That's so
I
specific.
need, we're gonna
It
have to
is
take
so
this offline.
specific.
I need more context of what this means.
All it means is I've done a couple of like acting for film and commercial classes in my experience as an actress, and every single time it's like, have you thought about laundry commercials? The most money I've ever made as an actor was for a candle catalog.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
They were
Okay.
like,
Candle
you can sell a
catalog.
She can sell
candle. Let's
candles.
do this. Let's make you the candle girl.
Yes. No, but that's so true. The times
That's
I've
so
made the
funny.
most money have been the randomest things I've ever
I
done.
know, so random, so
Like
random.
I sold travel insurance in a commercial once and
Yes.
I got paid real well. And
I
I was like,
know.
okay,
I know. It's
that's
not as
fine.
invigorating as live
No,
theater for that
no.
exact reason that you just don't know
Yeah.
what could go wrong.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Okay. I'm
it's
so sorry.
yeah.
Speaking of live theater, my husband has a live show
Oh,
at the
that's right.
Annex in 1 hour. I have to go relieve him so he can go set up.
No worries.
Okay.
So this has been an amazing chat, and I
Yay.
honestly love to hear from the audience, but I love our just like shrews chats. I love
Yes.
our
Yeah.
guests too.
Yeah.
We have the most incredible guests who have done the most phenomenal work.
Hmm.
But I also just, whenever we get to have a little shrews chat, I really appreciate how like vulnerable and silly we can get.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's usually our shrews chats. Our shrews chats get more philosophical, whereas our when we have guests, it's more like, tell us about this thing.
Yes.
So we get real into the nitty-gritty, but yeah.
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 Okay. Well, any very quick last minute things?
It takes true, like I said, vulnerability, like guts and courage to do what we do, to be an artist. So
Yeah.
yeah, rejection's part of it. And I don't know,
Mhm.
keep doing it
Yeah.
because it's worth it.
Yeah. Becky, bringing us home.
Thanks, Bex.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to this month's episode of Untamed Shrews. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Dawn.
And I'm Becky. Join us for our next episode in July. Follow Untamed Shrews on our Instagram at Untamed Shrews Podcast and on the Flag Shakes website. All episodes of Untamed Shrews can be found wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on sunsounds.org.
Please subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, put us in your Instagram stories, donate at flagshakes.org/donate, become a podcast sponsor, or buy Shrew Crew merch. Help support the Shrew Crew.
This episode of Untamed Shrews, starring Hannah Johnson, Dawn Tucker, and Becki Zaritsky. Show art by Calliope Luedeker. Podcast theme song by Cadence Lamb. Podcast produced and edited by Hannah Johnson and presented by Flagstaff Shakespeare Festival.
Bye,
Yay,
guys.
bye.